Tennessee scrimmage for the second time in fall camp. Who stood out? Which side of the football won the day? And also, another Tennessee football recruit commits to the 2023 class. Who is it? All that and more coming up here on a Monday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into it. This is your Monday Locked On Vols, a fresh week, new episodes, and Tennessee football continues on through fall football camp. Now under 3 weeks away until it's officially football time in Tennessee. I'm your host, Eric Kane. So glad to have you guys here with me today as we continue to talk Tennessee football. Tennessee football also picked up another recruit in terms of a commit. That's coming up in segment number 2. Tell you all about Rickey Gibson and a whole lot more. And plus, SEC Network, Roman Harper. Of course, Roman Harper, a longtime NFL veteran. Played at the University of Alabama. Now he does work for the SEC Network. Had an interesting take on Tennessee's scheduling for this season, the overall record. I'm sure you've heard it. If not, you're going to hear from him. You're going to like what you hear from Roman Harper. That's coming up here on a Monday show. I do radio in Knoxville, Tennessee at 99.1 The Sports Animal. Also write for the rival site covering the University of Tennessee. That is VolQuest.com. And don't forget Twitter Tuesdays coming up tomorrow. Get me in your questions, your comments, anything you guys have at _Kaner and at Locked On Vols. We got plenty to get into here today. So, we have got a couple notes that I want to go over from Tennessee football scrimmage. I'm gonna tell you I had more in terms of notes, from scrimmage number 1 than I have for scrimmage number 2. Still have some notes and everything from people who were there and on hand. And obviously we're gonna hear from Josh Heupel here on what he had to think about the scrimmage and all that. But Sunday was Tennessee's second scrimmage of the fall camp. It was the last time Tennessee will be inside Neyland Stadium up until opening night, which is September the 1st against Ball State that Thursday night. So only 2 scrimmages in fall camp. The rest, they're going to finish off this week of practice. Josh Heupel, you'll probably hear from him. He'll say it. He said it about 10 times on Sunday. This next 4-day block of practices, essentially that's a week's worth of practice. They're going to do that. And then they're going to go into 2 different sets of game weeks. So you're going to try to go, I'm not exactly sure how they'll do it because the day-to-day won't work out directly to kickoff, but they're going to go from essentially a Saturday to Saturday game week, what that looks like. And then obviously that'll lead them into game week, which will be a shorter week, but it's kicking off on Thursday. So they're going to finish off, essentially camp this week and then go the 2 weeks prior before kickoff. They're going to go over what a normal game week looks like in terms of practice, scheduling, what all that looks like throughout the week. And then they'll get into actual game week, which will be on a Thursday night. So that's kind of the schedule here from the University of Tennessee as we push towards opening night again, September the 1st, coming up against Ball State. All right, so what do we know about scrimmage number 2? Well, I'll tell you, defense seemed to have a really, really good day. I would say the defense, from everything I've heard, defense, kind of won the day. That does not mean that the offense was bad, but I think the defense tackled very, very well. I think the defensive line had a really good day in terms of comparing it to scrimmage number 1. It sounds like the defense kind of came to play. And I also believe that Tim Banks, obviously Tennessee's defensive coordinator, was allowed to scheme up and to call some plays and to do a little bit more here in scrimmage number 2. Bryce Neeson on the defensive line is said to have stood out and had a really, really nice day. Tennessee's defense did better against the tempo. Its run fits were a whole lot better. A really nice tackling day is said to have been going on during scrimmage number 2. And they go over tackling circuits, turnover circuits. They focus on open field tackling, angle tackling. If you guys read my my practice observations at VolQuest.com, you always see me put in there while the media is present, defense is going over tackling. Defensive line, linebackers, safeties, cornerback, stars, they're all going over tackling. So you're starting to see that show up in a scrimmage-like setting, which is obviously a really good thing. Some freshmen, Joshua Joseph, James Pierce, stood out. They're said to have stood out and made some plays in Sunday's scrimmage. Brew McCoy on offense is said to have had a really, really nice day. And of course, Brew McCoy still not eligible. That urgency kind of begins to creep in here as you get closer and closer to kickoff. I'll remain with, kind of what I've said this entire time. Tennessee feels good that it's going to be resolved, but it's still not resolved. We know how we've seen this happen so many different times as you get closer and closer and closer to kickoff. So we'll have to keep tabs on that. But Brew McCoy did not scrimmage on Tuesday of last week, scrimmaged on Sunday. and was said to have had a really, really good day. Josh Heupel mentions Jimmy Holiday and Walker Merrill for having good days. Deshaun Rucker, really, in my opinion, is not even going to be in the two deep at cornerback, but apparently he had a really strong day, and so that's good to see. Josh Heupel, you're going to hear from him here in just a moment, but comfortable with the two guys they had battling at left tackle. The thought was that if Tennessee was not comfortable with Gerald Mincey and J.J. Crawford, they might entertain the idea of flipping Darnell Wright from right back over to left, starting Dane Davis at right tackle, and then kind of going from there. That appears to not be an option right now. They're comfortable with Crawford and Mincey on the left side, whichever one it may be. So we'll hear an explanation from Josh Heupel on that here in just a moment. And that's kind of the notes that I have essentially on the day. Big picture, good tackling day, good defensive day. It was family day. You had tons and tons of players' families, moms, dads, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, whatever. I think Hendon Hooker had his dog present. So it was family day at Neyland Stadium. They also all had lunch together after the scrimmage and all that. But because it was family day, so many different people got reps. I mean, we're talking tons and tons of reps. Taven Jackson got a whole lot of reps, at quarterback on the day. Navy Schuler got a lot of reps at quarterback on the day. You empty the bench because family's there and they want to see their kid play, right? So there was Jabari Small didn't get as much work here on a Sunday because, again, they need to keep him healthy. So a good day's worth of work. Josh Heupel pleased with the efforts. And let's go ahead and hear from Josh Heupel. This is Josh Heupel, his opening statements on when he met with the media shortly thereafter the scrimmage on what Sunday brought and what he thought about the scrimmage overall.
I thought there were a bunch of positives today in the scrimmage. I thought played cleaner, both sides of the football, executed. Thought just, alignment, assignment, eyes on keys, being lined up, ready to go on the defensive side of the football, tackling in space. Thought we did a much better job in those areas than we did in the first scrimmage. And offensively, at times, we're efficient and played with great pace and handled the communication side of it at a really high level too. So a bunch of positives. I know there'll be a bunch of things that we need to clean up too as we go back and watch the tape this afternoon.
I mentioned earlier about that left tackle battle. J.J. Crawford, I think, has a lead in that race, but it's definitely not over. I think both those guys are going to play against Ball State. Have heard that Gerald Mincey got more reps with the ones today as they continue to kind of flip-flop those guys back and forth. But here is Josh Heupel, as I mentioned earlier, about those two guys at left tackle, what he's seen from them so far during camp, and the position, the battle as it continues on through all the way up to the opener. Here's Josh Heupel.
Yeah, it's been back and forth a little bit through training camp. You guys have heard me say this. At the end of the day, we're going to need both of them, all of them. It just, you experienced last year injuries, and that's true at the tackle spot. It's true on all five spots. Those guys are continuing to compete. That's not going to stop after today. That will happen all the way up until kickoff. Anticipate both of them playing during the course of the football game throughout the season and certainly in week one. Who gets a majority of that or what the percentage breakdown is, we'll continue to evaluate as we go through. Both of them have made a bunch of progress from spring ball and really since the beginning of training camp in understanding what we're doing offensively. In the run game, playing with better pad level, being able to create some movement up front. Both of them take major strides in the pass pro side of it too. So, I feel like those guys are continuing to progress as they should.
Are they playing well enough to where you think Darnell Wright will stay at right tackle?
Yeah, at this point, we plan to keep Darnell at the right side.
Josh Heupel was also asked about the wide receivers. Of course, we know you got Cedric Tillman on one side. You feel good about Jalen Hyatt in the slot. You feel good about the backup options in the slot with Jimmy Callaway and Squirrel White. What about that other outside wide receiver? Well, when Brew McCoy gets eligible, you think that he's going to slide in there, and that's going to be great. Well, so far he's not eligible, right? So Ramel Keaton, Jimmy Holiday, Walker Merrill. I mean, the competition continues, and the trust factor is continuing to go up for Josh Heupel, but it's not quite there yet. Here's Josh Heupel on that competition on the outside at wide receiver, opposites of Cedric Tillman. Of course, this coming after scrimmage number 2 Sunday afternoon.
I thought there were some real positive things today. Brew McCoy did some really good things out there inside of the stadium. I thought he handled and operated really well. Was physical with the ball in his hands. Jimmy Holiday made some plays today, some competitive catches, and then run after the catch. Walker Merrill's a guy that's had a really good training camp, much better football player and understanding of what we're doing, from where we ended spring ball. I think he's made strides, and he's done that offensively. He's done it on the special teams side of it too. So there's still a ton of competition. We've had a couple guys that, have missed a day or two here and there through training camp. This next block will be important to see those guys function and operate and handle the totality of what we're doing offensively and ultimately prove that they deserve to be on the football field and play. That's a Jimmy Callaway, it's Squirrel, in particular, those two guys.
And then finally, the last clip I want to play for you guys is Josh Heupel. I asked him about the line of scrimmage play. He'll have to go back and watch the tape and all that. So when he answered this, he might have had a better answer the next day. But the offensive line play, defensive line play, situational football, ones against ones. That's something else I didn't mention. A lot of the scrimmage was, sure, they got some one-on-one work. They ran nearly 100 plays, but they also got some ones against twos, twos against ones, ones against threes, threes against twos. They kind of mix and match the groups a lot on Sunday as well. But nonetheless, here's Josh Heupel on the offensive and defensive line plays, what he thought, immediate takeaways from scrimmage number 2.
There's so many different groups. I thought we fit things, front seven, safety fits too, and in the run game with the one defense better than we did in the first scrimmage. So that's one takeaway. I think in some of the situational football, the one offensive line did a really good job of creating movement. Third and shorts, goal line situations. There were some real positive things there too. Going to have to go back. There were a few sacks early in the scrimmage for the ones that I'll go back and look at and just make sure we're all not just losing a battle, right, which is going to happen, but our communication is right too. So there's going to be a bunch of things to learn from. Overall, really excited about energy, effort, attention to detail once the whistle blows, getting their eyes back, getting lined up, and getting cleats in the ground, eyes in the right place, ready to go play.
All right, so there you have it. Josh Heupel seemed to be in a pretty good mood, seemed to be pleased with the day's worth of work for his offense, for his defense, for his football team. That's it in terms of scrimmages. No more scrimmages, no more live scrimmages left for Tennessee in fall camp. Of course, they'll go 11-on-11. They'll do a bunch of stuff during practice, but a scrimmage-like setting, duplicating what will happen in a game day on a Saturday inside Neyland Stadium. They will not be, or a Thursday, they will not be inside Neyland Stadium again until September 1st against Ball State. So good stuff there from Josh Heupel. Hey, coming up, Tennessee football picked up a cornerback commit in Rickey Gibson on Sunday afternoon, right after that scrimmage. I'm going to tell you all about that here in just one moment. But first, I want to tell you about my friends over at LinkedIn. LinkedIn, as small businesses, as you're gearing up for the fall, LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster, and it's for free. Create a job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then you can add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so the network can help find the right people for you to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and ultimately hire. It's why LinkedIn Jobs, let me try that again. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. That's at number one in the market. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates that you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every single week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Welcome back into Monday's Locked On Vols, everybody. I am your host, Eric Kane. It's Monday today. We're talking Tennessee scrimmage. We're talking a new Tennessee football commit. Don't forget tomorrow's Twitter Tuesday @_Kane or @Locked On Vols is where you can find me. Submit any questions, any comments, anything you guys have. There's a lot of you guys that submitted after I recorded the episode last week. I say a lot, a couple. I'm going to try to answer those to the best of my abilities. I'll loop them in with tomorrow's as well. So Twitter Tuesday coming up tomorrow right here on Locked On Vols. Okay, so I want to talk about Tennessee's new cornerback commit in Rickey Gibson. So Rickey Gibson is a 3-star quarterback from Trussville, Alabama, And he's a guy that Tennessee's been after for quite some time. 6'1", 175 pounds, class of 2023. He is now Tennessee's 20th overall commit for the class of 2023. And this is a big deal because, Tennessee had only had one cornerback commit prior to the commitment of Rickey Gibson on Sunday. It was Christian Conyer. Tennessee had three other safeties committed, and Jack Luttrell, in Smith, and of course in Slaughter as well. But Sylvester Smith and John Slaughter, but only one quarterback commit, and that was with Christian Conyer. So adding another cornerback to the mix, adding a guy that Georgia very much wanted in Rickey Gibson was big. Tennessee beat out Georgia for this, all right? I know a lot of people stargaze. I know a lot of people make such a big deal about blue chip rating, and that's a true thing. I'm not trying to dismiss that, but a lot of people make, it's not a 3-star, who cares? It's not a 3-star, who cares? I mean, guys, if you're one of these people, let's think about this, all right? You got hundreds of more 3-stars than there are 4-stars, and so many more 3-stars than there ever are 5-stars. I don't care what window you shop at. I don't care if you're at On3, Rivals, 247, ESPN, wherever you're at. It's just the nature of the beast. Every good class is filled with 3-stars as well. Rickey Gibson is a really talented 3-star, in my opinion. This is from his high school head football coach, Josh Floyd, who at Trustful head football coach, quote, this is the quote I got from him right before Rickey Gibson committed to Tennessee. Quote, physically speaking, he's one of the best athletes I've ever coached. This is my 20th year of coaching, and we've had some really good players out the SEC schools in recent years. He's one of the best natural athletes that I've ever coached. I think he has a really high ceiling. He's so long, fast, and has great ball skills. He can jump out of the gym and is real athletic. He's got a really good future ahead of him at cornerback. Rickey is a great kid, and I think it's important to him. He's a guy who spends time perfecting his craft, even on his own. He'll go get the extra training on his own. I think that's what's really helped him in his game this past few years. His work ethic has really helped him as well. The kids like Rickey. As far as being a teammate goes, he's a great one. People will really like to getting to know Rickey Gibson. Again, that is Josh Floyd, Hewitt Trustville head football coach in Alabama. So that's good stuff there from a head football coach in Rickey Gibson. And, as Tennessee continues to round out this class of 2023, they need some impact players. And I think the Rickey Gibson, a guy that, again, I talk about is a 3-star when you look him up. But what you need to know about Rickey Gibson is Georgia wanted him. Georgia made a late push. He was on campus at the end of July, going to visit Georgia. It felt like a Georgia lean there about this time last week, maybe 2 weeks ago as well. But Tennessee just kept on, and Rickey Gibson is becoming a volunteer, beating out Georgia. So that's what to kind of remember here. You check out his highlight tape. I wrote an impact analysis on him at volquest.com yesterday. Some really good stuff. Here are a couple of my notes that I had whenever watching the film on Rickey Gibson. A long, athletic cornerback who runs well with receivers, whether it be zone coverage or man. Tennessee's new commit has no problem staying with the outside receiver and making a play on the ball. He's physical at the point of attack and presses well when asked. He sets the edge well and comes downhill to help in the run. At cornerback, Gibson is one of the more physical players on the football field, never shying away from contact. He does a nice job of reading the quarterback's eyes, but doesn't get caught up looking into the backfield. He makes good habits in reacting to that of his receivers, usually ending up in pass deflections. Once the ball's in the air, he runs under it. Gibson high points the football, and when it's a true 50-50 ball and is athletic enough to come away with it oftentimes, with his physical nature, he'll fit in well at the SEC level. And why is this a big pickup for Tennessee? Well, again, as I mentioned earlier, Christian Conyer, really talented 4-star athlete out of Bowling Green, Kentucky, the number 1 player in the state of Kentucky, the only cornerback Tennessee had in this class. It had 4 defensive backs, 3 safeties, 1 cornerback. Now Rickey Gibson becomes the 6th defensive back, the 2nd quarterback to go along with 3 safeties. So that's really big, a more balanced class for the University of Tennessee here in 2023. Tennessee lost Alontae Taylor, 2nd-round draft pick to the New Orleans Saints, of course, and by the end of the 2021 season, Tennessee could end up losing Kamal Hadden, Warren Burrell, and Brandon Turnage. Warren Burrell is a true senior on the field, and Kamal Hadden and Brandon Turnage are both redshirt juniors on the field. So depending on if they want to use their redshirt years or another COVID year, all those guys could be draft eligible, is what I'm saying, or they could just decide to move on. So you could lose 3 players in the day and era of the transfer portal. You've always got to be replenishing, and kind of getting ready to go. So that is why Gibson is a very welcome addition to this class. So Rickey Gibson, 6'1", about 175 pounds, cornerback out of Trussville, Alabama, where he attends Trussville. He's a 3-star. Rivals rates him as the 28th player in the state of Alabama, the 69th overall player at his position, owns a Rivals rating of 5.7. And again, Georgia wanted Rickey Gibson, and Rickey Gibson chose the University of Tennessee. I think in large part because of his comforts with Willie Martinez, getting to know the class. He came up here on an official visit, I think the second to last weekend of June, and really bonded with the coaches, obviously, the other players that were on visits. And I think that was a big move for him. Arkansas was very much a player in this at one point in time. Penn State actually came in third in this race, but it was Tennessee and Georgia, and Tennessee was able to outlast Georgia for the likes of Rickey Gibson. Now, Rickey Gibson has jumped in the boat here. What's next for the University of Tennessee? One cornerback on Sunday. Could it be another cornerback coming up on Monday? 4-star Jordan Matthews of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Oh, yeah. Is set to go down between Tennessee and Texas later today. I think it's going to be about 3 o'clock Eastern time. He is a top 130 player per Rivals in the country, 11th in the state of Louisiana, 18th at his position at the cornerback position. A standout for Woodlawn High School in, again, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 6'1", about 170 pounds, a really talented 4-star, a 5.9 Rivals rating. Okay, anywhere you look, any book, you're talking about any window, Rivals, On 3, 247, ESPN, 4-star across the board. Another one that Tennessee's really, really been in on. If Tennessee can land Jordan Matthews here later today, you're talking like you're in real good shape in the secondary. It'll further solidify yourself as a top 10 class. It will give you, I think, your 9th 4-star commit of the class if Jordan Matthews does end up joining the class. And it will give you 3 cornerbacks where, 26 hours prior, you had 1 cornerback in the class, and then fast forward 26 hours, you could have 2 more in Jordan Matthews and, of course, Rickey Gibson, who has already joined the class. So Rickey Gibson is in. Now, Tennessee's been after him, trying to hold off Georgia, and did a good job there. Can it be a really, really good start to the week with both Rickey Gibson and Jordan Matthews joining the class? We will find out. He will make his call 3 o'clock. I believe it's 3 o'clock Eastern time. And, of course, if he does, we'll have all the coverage and we'll have all the reactions right here on Locked On Vols. So a little recruiting talk here to begin your week's worth of shows. Talk scrimmage in segment 1, talking a little recruiting with Rickey Gibson here in segment number 2. And coming up in segment 3, we're going to go over what Roman Harper of the SEC Network had to say about the University of Tennessee, what he thinks is Tennessee's record is going to be. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. If you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you're truly depriving yourself of some of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There's a new flavor as well. Ready? Delicious, indulgent cookie dough covered in chocolate. That's right. Built has done it again. Let me introduce you to our new favorite cookie dough. Chunk Puffs have a light and chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks, and of course, they're covered in 100% chocolate. All the joys of eating cookie dough without the hassle of making it, plus it's healthy for you. Why? Well, cookie dough Chunk Puffs are only 160 calories, and they have a whopping 15 grams of protein in them. Run to Built.com, snag a box for yourself and for the family. It's the perfect treat, or you can find a really good hiding place and kind of just keep them all hoarded there for yourself. Like all Built Bars, the new cookie dough Chunk Puff is covered in 100% real chocolate. That means they're delicious and healthy and tasty for you. Chocolate-covered cookie dough with a light, puffy texture. So good. What's great about Built is that all their bars are made with protein, which the body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits for you. Eat something that tastes good, but also that's good for you, and that's the new cookie dough Chunk Puff. Go to Built.com right now. While you're there, use the promo code LOCK15, and you're going to get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off. That's all at Built.com. One final segment left here on this Monday edition of Locked On Vols. Guys, glad you are here. Guys and gals, glad you are here to hanging out with us here today. Some notes from scrimmage number 1, scrimmage number 2. That was in segment number 1. All the latest info on Rickey Gibson, Tennessee's new cornerback commit. And now let's go and talk about something that happened at the end of last week. I didn't have time to squeeze it in the Friday show because I already kind of had it mapped out. But this happened, I want to say, on Thursday. Roman Harper of the SEC Network. Roman Harper, former standout at the University of Alabama, of course, a long time career in the NFL, finished off his career with the NFL with the New Orleans Saints, and now he's doing work with the SEC Network. He was down there at SEC Media Days, making the media rounds and all that, And I think it might have been SEC Now. I'm not sure exactly which show it was. But Roman Harper goes game by game, breaking down what he thinks will be the outcome of Tennessee football, again, game by game. He picks Tennessee to go, well, I'm just going to let you listen to it, and you can kind of do the math there and figure it out for yourself. This is Roman Harper from last week on Tennessee's game by game outcomes and the overall results record by the end of it. Here's Roman Harper.
Let's start. Ball State,
Dub.
Okay.
Pittsburgh, they take a step back, losing Kenny Pickett. Dub again.
Oh, okay. That was a close game last year.
It's all right.
The
They're going to make it up. Dub. Florida at home.
Now remember, Florida's won 16 of the last 17.
Yep, and it'll be 16 out of the last 18.
Wow, okay.
Win right there. Okay. They have a bye week before they go to Baton Rouge.
Who I know you like.
I do like, and that is why Brian Kelly have his first really big win, and that is a loss for Tennessee.
Well, you got the first loss down there in Tiger Stadium. All right.
Alabama, tough game. On the road against Arkansas, at home versus Texas A&M. Then they have to go to Neyland Stadium. The GOAT pulls it off. That is a win for Alabama.
Okay, GOAT meaning Nick Saban. I
yes,
just want to make sure.
Loss for Tennessee right,
all right
there.
so,
UT Martin, it's okay.
Right now, hold on. If you're 4-2 to start this season, if you're a Vol fan and you sit here, this is the first half of your season, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling like we need a really big second half of the season to finish this thing off the right way. And this offense and this team has the ability to do it. Watch me set it up for you. Right here, UT Martin. We're gonna pad our stats. We're gonna feel good about ourselves, knowing that we got a big rivalry game versus Kentucky coming up at home, which is always a tough one.
Been a good one lately.
It's always been good, but you know what? They're better than Kentucky this year.
Ooh, 6-2.
Then you gotta go on the road to Georgia. The best thing about this is Georgia will be coming off a game against Florida. You will win that game.
Come on.
Yes, you will. Tennessee pops Georgia this year, and I'm calling my shot right now after the Florida game. Thank you. There is no score. Thank you, though.
You're
the
not
people
the score
up top.
prediction. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Missouri, another
8-2.
win.
You're feeling it, baby.
Now we got to go on the road to Columbia. We know it's rocking. We might even be there on SEC Nation, and you know what?
Give it to me.
They're going to win again.
We got another one, 92.
And now we got to finish it off against Vandy. You better strap up. You better strap up.
Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
Win again. I got Tennessee 10-2 regular season. They are this year's Ole Miss. Ole Miss has not won 10 regular season games in a long time.
Buddy.
This will be Knoxville going crazy. You lose a lot, LSU, Alabama early, and you run the table to finish off the season.
By the way, just quick pause for the camera so everybody take a picture of it.
Thank you. 10-2.
So 10-2. Peter Burns is losing his mind there towards the end. 10-2. I'm not buying into that. I'm not sure Roman Harper is buying into that, to be completely frank with you guys. I don't know if it's for engagements. I don't know if it's for just ratings, whatever the case may be. Again, is it possible? Absolutely, it's possible. I've said countless times, I believe Tennessee, on the schedule this year, there are 10 football games Tennessee can win. 2 football games Tennessee can't win, in my opinion. Does that mean Tennessee will go 10-2? No, it does not. But even with that logic, Roman Harper has Tennessee pulling off an upset over Georgia. The 2 losses Roman Harper has is to Alabama and to LSU. Both of games I'm probably picking Tennessee to lose right now. You've got an off week going down to Baton Rouge, going down to Death Valley and taking on LSU away from Neyland Stadium. That's going to be a tough matchup. Then you got Alabama. It's going to be a tough matchup. So riding the ship there towards the end of October, and you've got a week in there in between, but nonetheless, riding the ship there and correcting yourself, beating the toss-up games in Kentucky and South Carolina down the line, pulling off the massive upset against Georgia. Also, of course, we didn't even mention Pitt and Florida. Those are 2 wins in the month of September, according to Roman Harper. I'm not buying into that. We see this every single year, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I know a lot of you guys are probably cussing me in your car right now, but let's just think rationally here, okay? Every single year, we get closer to football season. It's like, 8 wins. Well, I can see 9 wins. I can see 9 wins. And then, if things go right, it could be 10 wins, right? This offense is great. Let's just pump the brakes a little bit, take a step back, and, clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose, right? I just don't think Tennessee from a depth perspective is there yet. Now, is Tennessee capable of pulling off an upset against Georgia? Absolutely it is. Do I think Tennessee will take a step as a team this year? Absolutely, I do. I just don't want anybody hearing that and seeing that and taking it for the gospel, because I think that is very, very unlikely that happens in terms of a 10-2 record and pulling off a win, an upset win against Georgia. I think that's very unlikely. Now, Tennessee can finish with a 9-3 record and 2 losses to Alabama and Georgia by double figures. Not 3 touchdowns. We'll say double figures. And it can still be a very successful season. Why? Because you likely picked up a win against Florida, picked up a win against Pitt in week 2, might have beaten Kentucky, probably took care of South Carolina like you're supposed to. That could be a successful season, still finishing top 5, top 6 in terms of offense in the entire country. That's a successful year, and knocking down the door to a New Year's Six bowl game as well. That can happen. That very easily can happen, in my opinion. Just be wary. If you heard that, if you saw the segment, if you saw it on social media, just telling you, it happens. We're in camp. We're seeing real highlights. We're talking about real reactions to practice and scrimmages and what Josh Heupel's having to say. This happens every single year. I'm not sure what Robin Harper was after there. I don't think Robin Harper truly believes that, but it is what it is. I did want to play it for you because that can happen. Don't get me wrong. It's just I think it's very unlikely. Doesn't mean Tennessee will not have a good year, and doesn't mean Tennessee will not have a good team. I'm just saying at year 2 in the rebuild, I'm not buying into that just yet. Now, you can disagree with me. Plenty of you do, and that's what's great. We got a comment section here. Please light me up in the comments. Let me know what you think about Tennessee's new commit, Rickey Gibson, Tennessee's scrimmage number 2, about the defense having a better day, and of course, what you think about Robin Harper's comments on the University of Tennessee going 10-2. That's going to do it here for this Monday edition. Plenty of stuff to get into, including Twitter Tuesday. Some more comments from Josh Heupel on scrimmage number 2 that happened on Sunday. Maybe we're talking about another football commit in Jordan Matthews. All that and more that's coming up on Tuesday's show right here on Locked On Vols. It's your first listen. It's your first watch on YouTube each and every day. Your first listen wherever you find your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, all that and more. Locked On SEC. Make that your second listen behind Locked On Vols, your first listen each and every day. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Follow us on YouTube. Heart rate, review, subscribe, comment, all about the algorithms. Guys, thank you so much as always. Same time, same place. Let's do it again tomorrow. Pull up a chair. We'll talk then. Until then, though, enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody.